What if I told you a small Asian country just made a bold move in Africa and almost nobody is talking about it? This quiet partnership could change everything for millions of people, and it involves Burkina Faso. But here's the twist: it's not coming from the West. In recent months, Burkina Faso has been turning heads. After cutting ties with old colonial powers, the country has become a magnet for new alliances. But this time, it's not France. It's not the United States. It's not even Russia. The country knocking at the door is Bangladesh. Now, why would Bangladesh, best known for its massive textile industry, come all the way to Africa? Well, here's the thing. They didn't just show up for a handshake or a photo opportunity. They came with something much bigger, a proposal that could completely transform trade between these two nations. And the big question is this: what exactly is in this proposal? And will President Ibrahim Traoré accept it? Stick with me, because what I'm about to reveal might surprise you. Did you know the shirt you're wearing right now might have been made in Bangladesh? This small country has become one of the world's biggest garment factories. Why? Because of its low labor costs and a booming textile industry that attracts some of the biggest fashion brands in the West. This industry is massive. It doesn't just create jobs, it powers Bangladesh's economy. And to keep it running, the country needs one thing in huge amounts: cotton. Bangladesh imports millions of tons of cotton every year. Their textile industry is now the third largest in the world. And guess what? They just set their eyes on Africa. Recently, Bangladesh sent an ambassador all the way to Burkina Faso. On the surface, it looked like a normal diplomatic visit. But behind the handshake and the smiles was a proposal that could change everything. The ambassador met with President Ibrahim Traoré and delivered a bold message. Let's make a deal. A direct cotton trade agreement between our two nations. Why is this such a big deal? And what does Traoré's answer mean for Africa's future? Stick around, because this story is bigger than you think. Burkina Faso is one of Africa's leading cotton producers, often ranking among the top on the continent. Alongside gold, cotton is a major pillar of the Burkinabe economy. It doesn't just boost GDP, it brings in foreign exchange and creates jobs for millions of citizens whose lives depend on the sector. Things took a new turn when President Ibrahim Traoré came to power. Determined to make Burkina Faso more self-sufficient, Traoré launched an aggressive agricultural strategy to boost production across the board. Cotton became a central part of this plan, and the results have been impressive. In the 2023-2024 season alone, cotton production surged by 25%, and the momentum isn't slowing. The government is now aiming for an even bigger target, nearly 600,000 tons of cotton this season, which would be a staggering 55% increase from the previous year. This growth is not just a statistic, it's a clear signal that Burkina Faso is positioning itself as a strategic cotton supplier on the global stage. But what does this mean for its economy, and how will it shape future trade deals with countries like Bangladesh? The answers might surprise you. It's an ambitious plan, but the Burkinabe government is not joking. To make it happen, they've poured massive funds into supporting cotton farmers and subsidizing inputs. They've even turned to biotechnology to fight pest resistance and protect crops. This level of investment isn't just about boosting local production. It's creating a scalable, reliable supply chain that has caught the attention of global players like Bangladesh. In fact, Burkina Faso's growing capacity could easily support Bangladesh's annual cotton import target of 1.3 million metric tons. And here's the interesting part. This isn't just talk. Customs data shows that Burkina Faso and Bangladesh already have trade ties. In 2024 alone, multiple shipments of raw cotton were sent from Burkina Faso to Bangladesh, worth over $427,000 in July and another $202,000 in October. The partnership is already in motion. But beyond sheer volume, Burkina Faso offers something else: a pricing edge. Wholesale cotton prices in the country range between 28 cents and 48 cents per kilo, much lower than the global average of 60 cents to $120 per pound in recent years. That's a huge cost advantage for countries importing on a large scale. And there's another layer to this story. Burkina Faso is embracing sustainability. While its organic cotton output is still modest, around 3,250 tons of seed cotton in 2025, it taps into a fast-growing global demand for ethical, traceable materials. For brands that want quality and a clean supply chain, this is a big deal. Clearly, Burkina Faso's position as a rising cotton supplier is no longer a secret. The numbers speak for themselves, and the partnerships are already taking shape. Financial backing like the $120 million facility from the Islamic Development Bank in May 2025, channeled through Burkina Faso's SOFATEX, only strengthens this supply chain and signals reliability to potential partners. So, it's no surprise that Bangladesh wants a direct cotton trade deal with Burkina Faso. For Dhaka, this isn't just about cotton. It's about opening doors for Bangladeshi goods like agricultural products, leather, ready-made garments, and even pharmaceuticals. For Burkina Faso, it means diversifying trade partners, expanding cotton markets, and building stronger South-South cooperation. In short, a potential win-win deal. Now, here's the twist. Nothing has been signed yet, but reports suggest the talks were promising. The discussions went beyond just cotton. They included long-term cooperation in textiles and a structured diplomatic engagement through a memorandum of understanding on foreign office consultations. So, the big question? Will President Traoré say yes? If there's one thing we know about Traoré, it's this. He makes decisions based on what benefits his people, not outsiders. So, before any ink hits the paper, you can bet Burkina Faso will ensure the deal brings real value to its citizens. But here's something worth thinking about. The reason Bangladesh even made this bold move is simple. Burkina Faso's cotton sector has transformed under Traoré's leadership, and that is a story the world needs to pay attention to. Rather than do what other weak African leaders do, President Traoré has decided to invest aggressively and push several agricultural initiatives. Just a few months ago, he paid a visit to Bobo Dioulasso, one of the biggest cities in Burkina Faso. He didn't come empty-handed, he came bearing gifts. But it wasn't a gift to persuade or bribe the people to support him. It was gifts that would ultimately fulfill his vision of a Burkina Faso that is food self-sufficient. You see, one of the visions of President Traoré is to build a Burkina Faso that can feed itself without depending on aid from the West. This vision is an offshoot of Thomas Sankara's vision of food self-sufficiency. Thomas Sankara was a different breed of leader who knew that achieving food self-sufficiency was a must for every African country seeking true independence from the West. This was why immediately he came into power, he launched a very aggressive agricultural program to help Burkina Faso become food secure. Sankara implemented a kind of land redistribution reform and promoted subsistence agriculture in rural areas as well as the cultivation of local rice, corn, and foxtail millet. For Sankara, the consumption of imported rice, corn, and millet was a form of imperialism. This is why he chose to invest massively in the production of these basic agricultural produce. To the world's surprise, Thomas Sankara's bold agricultural reforms didn't just work, they transformed Burkina Faso. By 1987, the country's grain production had soared to 1.6 billion tons. The jump was so massive and so fast that Jean Ziegler, then the UN Special Rapporteur on the Right to Food, declared, "Thomas Sankara conquered hunger." Think about that for a second. In just 4 years, Sankara achieved what many nations had failed to do in decades: food self-sufficiency. And here's what made it even more remarkable. He did it without a single cent of foreign aid. No loans from the IMF, no handouts from former colonial powers, just sheer determination, smart policies, and the belief that Burkinabe people could feed themselves. But Sankara's dream didn't last. His vision of an independent, self-reliant Burkina Faso was brutally cut short by betrayal. The man who pulled the trigger on his dream, and on Sankara himself, was Blaise Compaoré, his former ally turned traitor. And from the moment Compaoré seized power, everything Sankara built began to collapse. Compaoré reversed the land reforms. He abandoned the local farming initiatives. He opened the doors wide to dependency on foreign aid. In just a few years, Burkina Faso went from a country on the path to independence to a nation hooked on Western assistance for survival. Now here's the bitter truth. If the West cared so much about Burkina Faso, Why didn't Blaise's French advisors urge him to keep Sankara's policies? Why didn't they defend the reforms that saved millions from hunger? Instead, they stayed silent. Silent as Compaoré dismantled every achievement. Silent as Burkina Faso slid back into poverty. And yet, for 27 long years, France and its allies called Blaise Compaoré a champion of stable democracy. But what kind of democracy leaves the majority of its people hungry? What kind of stability ignores the suffering of millions? The truth is, as long as Blaise stayed loyal to France, his people's hunger didn't matter. This is the history that few talk about, a history of betrayal, broken promises, and deliberate neglect. But here's the good news. Today, a new chapter is being written under President Ibrahim Traoré. And this time, Burkina Faso is determined never to go back. Now, thanks to President Ibrahim Traoré, there is hope again. The vision that Thomas Sankara once championed has been brought back to life. The dream of food self-sufficiency in Burkina Faso is no longer just an idea, it's a plan in action. Traoré's administration is pushing hard to make it a reality. As part of the 2025 to 2026 agro-pastoral campaign, Traoré made a bold move on May 22, 2025, when he officially handed over a massive batch of agricultural materials and inputs to the city of Bobo Dioulasso. This wasn't just a symbolic gesture, it was a calculated step toward achieving food sovereignty as quickly as possible. The numbers tell the story. Backed by an investment of over 104 billion CFA francs, this initiative is designed to boost the technical and productive capacity of farmers, herders, and fishery workers across the country. Under the leadership of Commander Ismaël Sombier, the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal and Fisheries Resources received a staggering arsenal of resources to power this transformation. What kind of resources? The list is almost unbelievable. Thousands of tons of plant seeds, 11,169.5 tons of feed for intensive animal production, 1,580 tons of fish feed, 70,000 tons of mineral fertilizers, 14,631 tons of organic manure, nearly 67 million doses of veterinary medical products, and 31,851.5 liters of plant protection products. Every single item has one purpose: to make Burkina Faso self-reliant in food production. This is not just an agricultural plan. It's a national revolution, a war against hunger, and a declaration of independence from foreign aid. Traoré is not waiting for the West to come to the rescue. He is building a Burkina Faso that will stand on its own. The investment doesn't stop at seeds and fertilizers. President Traoré's plan includes an impressive lineup of production and processing equipment to modernize agriculture across the country. We're talking about 608 tractors, 1,102 tillers, 485 motor pumps, 1,033 motorcycles for field agents, 36 vehicles, 17 trucks, 4 combine harvesters, 2 drilling shops, and 935 floating cages for fisheries. And that's not all. The agri-food processing sector is also getting a massive boost. The package includes 10 processing units for cotton and oilseed products, 4 juice extractors, an automatic peeler, 3 vacuum packers, 4 pasteurizers, 14 sorting tables, 65 manual peelers, 150 multi-purpose crushers, and 3 electric rockers. This is not just an agricultural plan. It's an industrial strategy designed to ensure local processing, create jobs, and strengthen national autonomy. During the official handover ceremony, Inoussa Ouedraogo, president of the National Union of Seed Producers of Burkina, made a powerful statement. He called this move a concrete action in the service of the rural world. These, he said, are not empty promises, but visible steps taken by the government to guarantee food self-sufficiency. Ouedraogo praised President Traoré for backing his words with action. The agricultural sector is supported like never before, he said, expressing optimism that farmers are ready to start the season with the equipment already in place. This isn't just policy, it's progress. For the first time in decades, the agricultural sector in Burkina Faso feels empowered, equipped, and ready to drive the country toward real independence. Another key figure at the event was Minister of State Ismaël Sombier, who emphasized just how big this investment really is. After 77 billion CFA francs last year, more than 104 billion have now been mobilized. These resources will increase productivity, reduce hardship, and close food gaps, he said. Sambier also revealed another major step forward, the creation of agricultural mechanization brigades in every municipality across the country. These brigades will provide structured support to farmers, offering reduced or even free services for the most vulnerable. This move ensures that no one is left behind in Burkina Faso's push toward agricultural transformation. All of this ties directly into President Traoré's vision, achieving food self-sufficiency in the shortest possible time. It's more than just policy. It's a demonstration of strong political will to invest sustainably in the rural sector. The goal is clear: build a resilient, mechanized, and processing-oriented agriculture system that can stand on its own without relying on foreign aid. Truly remarkable. And let's not forget the people of Burkina Faso. Their determination, combined with these bold government actions, is setting the stage for a new era of independence. But before we celebrate too much, there are a few critical points we need to look at, because as promising as this sounds, there are still big challenges ahead. Now, let's talk about something controversial. Would Ibrahim Traoré have achieved all of this if he were a civilian president under Africa's so-called democratic system? Honestly, probably not. And here's why. The truth is, the democratic structure in many African countries is broken. Even the president of Botswana admitted this in a recent interview. He said that the bureaucratic system inside African democracies is one of the biggest reasons why progress is so slow. Think about how the system works. A president may come in with the best intentions. He might have a clear vision. Let's say he wants to provide stable electricity for the entire country, or, like Traoré, achieve food self-sufficiency. But here's the catch: he doesn't have absolute power. In a democratic setup, every big decision has to pass through parliament. And guess what? That means convincing dozens, sometimes hundreds, of politicians to agree to the plan. Now, in theory, that sounds fair and balanced. But in reality, most of these politicians aren't thinking about the nation, they're thinking about themselves. If they don't see personal benefits, or if their own constituencies don't gain from the plan, they block it. And this is where everything falls apart. That big, bold vision never leaves the drawing board because of bureaucracy, corruption, and political ego. One man's dream is killed by a room full of greedy politicians. This is exactly why many African countries remain stuck. We talk about democracy as if it's the ultimate solution, but what we have here isn't real democracy. It's a system where progress moves at a snail's pace, if it moves at all. Now compare that to what Traoré has done. As a military leader, he doesn't have to waste years begging politicians for approval. He doesn't need to bribe lawmakers to pass a budget. He makes a decision and he acts on it, fast. That's why today we're seeing tractors, seeds, and fertilizers being delivered to farmers. We're seeing billions invested in agriculture because there's no bureaucracy slowing him down. Does that mean military rule is perfect? Absolutely not. But when you look at how quickly Traoré is moving compared to traditional democratic governments in Africa, it raises a tough question. Is Africa ready for real democracy, or does it need strong leadership first? But now, imagine something different. Imagine a president with absolute power, like President Traoré. You see, Traoré runs a military-led government. In this system, his word is law. Now, that kind of power can be dangerous in the wrong hands. A bad leader could turn the country into a nightmare. But here's the flip side. When you have a leader with the right intentions, like Traoré, that same power becomes a weapon for progress. The moment he declares a vision, like his plan to make Burkina Faso food self-sufficient, that vision instantly becomes national policy. No debates, no delays, no bureaucratic bottlenecks. And that's the difference. Traoré doesn't have to waste time convincing greedy politicians or negotiating with lawmakers who only care about themselves. As head of state, his decision is final and everyone falls in line. That's why he has achieved so much in such a short time. Now, here's something most people don't realize. Even when politicians in a democracy agree on a president's vision, some of them still work against it. How? By stealing the funds meant for implementation. So, even if billions are released for agricultural development, by the time the money moves through layers of corrupt officials, very little reaches the people who actually need it. In Traoré's case, things are completely different. He didn't just allocate funds, He personally handed over the materials to the farmers: tractors, seeds, fertilizers. Everything was given directly to the people, not through corrupt middlemen. Can you see the difference now? One system leaves a nation stuck in endless talk, the other delivers real results. Now here's where things get really interesting. It's not just about tractors, seeds, and fertilizers. It's about power and money. Right now, it's up to the Burkina Faso people to take advantage of this massive investment and turn Traoré's vision into reality. But guess who's not happy about this? The politicians. Why? Because Traoré has cut off their biggest source of wealth. In a typical democratic system, those billions earmarked for agriculture would first pass through the hands of politicians. They're the ones who would manage the funds, supposedly buying equipment and materials for their regions. But here's the ugly truth. Most of that money never reaches the farmers. Instead, these politicians line their pockets, then buy just a few machines or a handful of seeds to make it look like they did something. This greed is one of the main reasons why so many African countries failed to move forward. Traoré broke that system. He didn't give the money to politicians. He went directly to the people. He delivered the resources himself. No middlemen, no excuses. And that's why he's facing so much anger from the political elite. He exposed their game. So, here's a question. Should President Traoré stay as a military leader to keep this momentum? Or should he transition to something else? Maybe a system like China or Russia, which blends strong centralized leadership with economic planning? Because let's be honest, Western-style democracy just isn't working in Africa. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you believe Africa deserves real independence, hit the like button, share this video, and make sure to subscribe for more content like this.